Evening, everyone. Welcome to TMA, the fans' verdict, where you, the fans, give your opinion on the game that's just gone. And that is obviously the 2-1 defeat away at Bristol City. Joining me is my esteemed colleague, Sir Dunk. Evening, mate.
Good evening.
All right, mate. Just massive shout out. Condolences to the friends and family of Lee Cusack, who unfortunately passed away in the week. So massive shout out to his missus and the kids and all his friends and family. Massive, Watford fan legend. I think all of us bumped into him one time or another. Big watcher of the show as well. So, like I said, once again, just my deepest condolences to his friends and family. To Lou Cusack, rest in peace, fella. Right, okay, let's get your opinions through. Let's see what you thought of that. But Dunk, you start, mate. Weren't great, was it?
That was not a good performance. It reminded me of Luton away, and that's not something I wanted to be reminded of for a while, where we looked very flat. Obviously, the first bit, I think the biggest talking point of today was the injury to Barr, to be honest. That's probably the biggest one of all. The question is, why did we start Barr when we knew there was a big chance of significant re-injury? And then it's a shame because cleverly in his post-match comments said that his game plan was absolutely ruined by Barr's injury.
Yeah.
And it's true because whilst Barr was on the pitch, he was getting so much joy getting past his man. But a player built on such explosive power, when he's got one muscular injury being rushed back, it's inevitable it will happen again. What we should have done is what we did last week. Give him 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes, build it up slowly. Because now you've got an injury which will be more likely to reoccur from now on, which then produces bigger headaches going forward for whether you can trust that player to stay fit. Because if you remember, early in the season, Barr's biggest problem was fitness, not necessarily injury, but stamina.
Yeah, true.
So now we're going to have to go back to square one and go through months of potentially conditioning and reconditioning that quad so it doesn't go again. And unfortunately, we've got no one in the squad who can take his place. I thought Vata, for the most part, was disappointing today, although he did show his ability to do long throws, which I didn't know about before. Did you know that? Because I certainly didn't. It was like when Rajovic did his. You remember Rajovic had long throws? We had no idea until suddenly he just won the sideline, wound up, and you're thinking, where the hell has I gone to the penalty box? So it's not a bad tool for him to have, but it's just we know Vata could do better than that. But you could say that for the entire team today. The only player that came out of any credit to my mind was Mamadou Doumbia, who we said it before his injury, he looked the real deal. The only thing he needed to show was maybe a couple more goals. And today, on his weak foot, took a lovely strike outside the box, right into the corner, unsavable. So, but then, are we going to do the same thing to Doumbia that we did to Barr, rushing back too early? Because I don't trust Bio leading the line. I don't think we have really any bad eggs in the squad, but I don't think ability-wise, he's been consistent or good enough for long stretches of this season. Represented by Moneygate by 6 goals scoring in 6 games over 36 appearances this season.
Yeah.
So there's big. I think Doumbia should be able to lead the line next season, but we need more than Bio to be able to rotate with him. What do you think, Pidge?
Doumbia needs to start Tuesday. If I'm being honest, Bio just doesn't offer anything up front. I don't like we've said this. I don't want to hate on him too much, but I think we need to say, look, he wants. Obviously, he's on loan now. We sold him. We just got to look more for the future now. We were never really going to make playoffs after the last few games, but if we're being honest, we should have really started playing some kids now. I think not 2 or 3, but not 4 or 5, but 1 or 2. Start playing them a bit more as well. I think Barr's injury cleverly said as well that the injury was similar to what he had as well. So they've got to be really careful of how they manage it.
Yeah.
We were on top, to be fair, until Bayer went off. A bar went off. Wishful thinking. I've never heard that we're on top and Bio being on the same pitch as a thing, but no, correct. Bar, when he was there our focal point. Absolutely. And he really caused them problems and funny enough, that's where their joy came from. Their goals from our left. Both lefts seem to be the weak spots for both teams early on, and I don't want to. Second one, yeah, but you, like Paney said, on free counties, you play to the whistle at the end of the day. There's no excuse. It's a Sunday league thing. It's something, like he said, you get trained on when you're a kid to play to the final whistle. And that's what we didn't do, and we got caught. Regardless if it's off, I mean, was it fully over the line? I mean, there's a debate, yes, and you can look at it in a lot of ways, and it's 50-50, to be honest. But at the end of the day, all said and done, they scored from it, and we hesitated. The Bankra thing, he'll learn from it, but come on, just get rid, just kick it out. I mean, it's not hard, is it? Just kick the damn ball out. If you don't hear a call, don't try and play it. You try to be too cute with it, and you either come off and it looks absolutely brilliant, or it'll happen like it done today. It looks like a tit, and it's caused the goal.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
I completely agree on that one. Abankwah, he's shown so much quality, and in many respects, he looked very mature for his years.
Yeah,
but against Oxford, his rashness caused 2 cheap yellow cards, and today, because he's always been so good at playing from the back, I don't think he realised either he didn't get the call, as you said, or simply he backed his ability maybe a little bit too much to play out of that, and should have just wellied it clear or just knocked it into touch. But it's easy to forget. He's 21? 2021? I'm actually checking this whilst I type, actually. So bear with me a second.
So I'm trying to connect us to the forum as well. It's pissing about. Go on.
Yeah, I'm saying Abankwah was only like 21. So inevitably, for such a young centre-back, he will misjudge. And I can forgive that. I'm not going to be saying we need to drop him next game, because we know what he can do. He's made a fuck-up, and he'll own that, I'm sure, in the dressing room after. And then it's just a case of, all right, we'll move on. And I did think, however, Caleb Wiley disappointed me today. I didn't really see much from him. I actually thought Larouci looked better when he came on. I don't think... Ngakia was okay. Didn't stand out. Didn't make any howlers to my mind that I saw, but forgettable game. But I think you could describe the whole thing for us, apart from Dumbia's strike, as a very forgettable game.
Yeah. It was, mate. It's just frustrating all round, because there was a chance. Okay, like I said, I didn't expect us to be in the playoffs. After the last 5 or 6 games, I didn't expect us to be there anyway. But if we'd gone there and got a win, then we would have only been about 3 points behind it, and there was that slight chance. But right, before we go anywhere, let's get some chat off.
Yeah, of course.
It was well. Yeah, cheers, Halsey. That was a tribute to Lee Cusack. No, cheers, mate. Another bad day at the office, but hey ho, we won't get relegated. We won't be on the playoffs. Let's play the youth and give them experience. From Halsey. Mr. Crouch, evening, mate. He says 3 wins in 17 this year. Is Cleverley's job at risk again in the summer when all renewed season tickets? I'll get your opinion on that in a second. Mr. Iron, evening, mate. He says, I heard on X that the owners will get rid of Tom and won't be our manager next season. Hopefully it's wrong. He has been backed. Hopefully he will be here next season. And also Mr. Crouch, Cleverley won't risk Dumbia on Tuesday from the start after length of time out. Yeah, I mean, that's that thing conundrum. He's probably absolutely right. But in terms of Cleverley, mate, I mean, I've always said I'm 110% behind him. I think you got to give him another summer window and see what he does up to at least October, November next season. If we're still playing like this around November next season, then obviously it's time to move on. But I'm still definitely behind Tom.
Yeah, I think, and also, given the fact that up until maybe the last 2-3 games, we were seriously still thinking about playoffs, shows the work he's done, to be honest with you, because his start was probably overinflating where we were, and Cleverley's already said that. He's not hidden from the fact that we did win too many games by 50-50s, but we've also lost quite a few games by 50-50s recently as well. So you can make the argument that just things have balanced off a little bit, and we are where we should roughly be, which is a mid-table championship side, because we do have some very good quality players, but we also have areas of strong weakness, such as down the flanks. Our fullbacks aren't good enough to be considered playoff level. I think it's fair to say. Matty Pollock, again, he's one that you probably say would be playoff level. He's been fairly consistent this season, I'd say. I think Sissoko, since January, since that game he had against Sunderland, where he got moved to the right wing, I think he's actually looked respectable in most games, in fairness to him. So I think Cleverley, at minimum, deserves the summer window and deserves a good chunk of time after that, as you said, because we are fed up of change. Ultimately, changing the head coach isn't going to fundamentally change our results longer term. It's our recruitment and our willingness to actually send a message that we aren't going to change our head coach because the players are underperforming, or that we need to make sure we send a message of stability, which the fans have been craving for years. We've been saying since we had who was it after we had Rob Edwards, then it was Bilic, then it was Wilder, then it was Ismail, and before that it's even the Premier League. We had number 3 as well. We're tired of change. We've been saying for years we want to have some stability, but then after a poor run, people are calling for change, which is understandable, because football is a very immediate term business. But then it's being hypocritical almost. Even though I do understand some of the calls, I don't agree with it still. I think Cleverley has made mistakes. He will hold his hand up to that. He's still very early doors. I do wish he'd show being a little bit more bolder. Did you see the coach Q&A?
No, I didn't. I'm aware of what was being said about, like, obviously playing 4-4-2, and
yeah, that's exactly what I was going to bring up.
They should have really stood up and said, "Do you regret not signing a striker in January window as well?" And just see what they said. Did anyone ask that, or?
It wasn't that kind of evening. That wasn't the forum for it. It was more purely about the coaching setup, the link between the academy and.
The thing is that they must know if they had done that, that would have been the first focal point, But technically, it links to the 4-4-2 because we can't really play a 4-4-2 when we haven't got many strikers, and that's down to the recruitment in January. I mean, a lot of people said that we needed to get another striker in because obviously we were looking at offloading Rajvic, and obviously, Terry's just put something in as well. Since the beginning of the season, Cleverley was all about exciting attacking football. The last few months, we've got Valor and Ismail, negative defensive style. Is that down to Cleverley or the owners?
It'll be Cleverley. For me, that is Cleverley, because I think Cleverley was nervous about having so many games on a 50-50. He wanted to implement more control. And I do understand that, where if you have so many games on a 50-50, eventually those 50-50 will be going against you. And in theory, if you play a more possession-based game, where you're trying to control the tempo of a game, and you're trying to rely on players such as Loser, such as Barr, such as potentially Vata and whatnot, to try and unlock a defence in a more controlled way, where you can have bodies more set up to deal with counters and whatnot, that I can see why. But we have gone too far, I think. We've lost that daring fun we saw earlier on in the season. I completely agree, Terry. It's gone too far the other way. We're trying to almost control too much. Rather than ceding possession, let them come on to us and then use players like Vata and Doumbia, who are vicious on the counter attack, were trying to hold on to the ball too much, I think, now.
I
And
mean, the way we set up, though, Dunk, sorry to interrupt. The way we
shoot.
set up today, I was quite happy how we set up. I thought, oh, brilliant. We've got obviously it panned out differently with Bar being going off injured. Unfortunately for him, we couldn't help that. But when you saw the front line, okay, with the exception of Bio, we looking at the wing play. At least he looked like he was going for it with Vata and Bar there for a bit of pace. So I thought, okay, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. I thought at least we're out there at the looking like we're going to be at the races and give them a good go. I think if Bard stayed on, I do think it would be a slightly different game.
Agree.
Especially with Doumbia being brought on. I do think Bar had the running of that left hand side.
Yeah, he beat him fly. He got past him all 4 times he took him on. So it's completely fair to say that, and but then you question why was he starting if he clearly wasn't going to last the game? And not only that, if doing 4 runs of the intensity he wants to do would have brought him injury, should he have been playing at all? Was it still too early? Because it is a results-based game, but now you're going to make him more injury-prone in the future without a lot of time to condition it and luck.
Yeah, what they're looking at is like Tom said in the pre-match post-conference, and Halsey just said he agrees with Terry as well. But he said he's got 60, 70 minutes in him. So what they've obviously looked at that said is, okay, we'll play him for about 50 to 60 minutes, then bring him off. That's probably what they were looking at doing. Do what he can do, get us ahead, and then what we'll do is we'll bring him off like half time or about 10 minutes in the second half. But obviously didn't pan out that way. But I think that's probably what their thinking was behind it.
Yeah, I think they underestimated how many runs he was going to do in that time. I think that was part of it. Doing 4 almost end-to-end runs or from halfway line using all his power, I think they underestimated how much load he would be doing in that time. So rather than doing that maybe 4 times during the half, doing it in 10 minutes that intensity was always going to be much more likely to aggravate it. So that's probably what they were banking on, that doing that 45 minutes, doing 4 of them in 45 minutes rather than 4 and 10.
Yeah.
So I think that is it.
Yeah. So what you put this up, mate, about the meeting.
Yeah. Again, it's going back because I do agree that I completely agree with Clevy that he is quite adaptable. He's shown quite a lot of flexibility to how he wants to play, how he set us up, how he's trying to use the squad. But I wish we'd see him. I wish we see him almost show more daring with how he sets us up, because he's following the trend of a lot of young modern coaches in terms of where they want to be more possession based. They want to play attacking football, but they want to play controlled attacking football and less on the counter, which I think would probably suit us more with the team we have. I don't think we've got enough quality to be a possession-based side.
No.
Not yet. We've got some good players who could do it. Loser especially. He's a standout to do that. His vision and his passing is one of a kind in our squad right now, for example, but we don't have enough of that to make that stick through the squad. I think we work best as we did earlier in the season, where we're countering more. And that links back to what Terry said. That's why we're more exciting, I think, because we're doing a more counter-attack style of play.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, mate. And I think now looking at it, I already said this, I think what we need to do now is just basically play 2 or 3 of the kids now. The bits are being one of them, or how you pronounce it. I'm really bad with names. But who's the central midfielder as well? Who's the other? Who's
Duomo, the one that's coming back from injury?
we can play Duomo, but I think play a couple of the youth players. I mean, I wouldn't be if we're not going to rest Doumbia.
Oh, sorry, Ramirez Espan.
That's it, Espan. That's it. But if we're not going to risk Doumbia, then call up Adeyemo.
Yeah, or is it Okusan? I really like the look of him against Southampton in the FA Cup, Youth FA Cup. I thought he looked really good.
Yeah, granted, I don't think they're going to risk him. This is the problem, isn't it?
Yeah, granted. Bear in mind he is playing against peers. It's level rather than men's football, and that is different. But he looked like he had something to him. I really like the look of him.
Mm.
And I wouldn't be against throwing him like 10 minutes at the end for these kind of games. Same with Messiah Edwards, Nabizada, and the rest of them. Just give them 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just give them a taste of it. And it also incentivize them as well to work that little bit harder because they can see what it's like and they've been given that chance.
Yeah.
And it'll be a good message to send throughout the squad, both at the first team, where if you're not performing, we will call up those below you who might show that little bit more rawness, but they also might show that little bit more energy and a little bit more unpredictability because young players like that, they're from the academy, they'll want to please the fans, they'll want to please the coach, they want to stay in the side. And the best way to do that is being exciting and attacking. But then you get the rawness, which we'll have to accept as well in doing so.
Mm. True, mate. I'm just having a look at the fixtures here. This is obviously the last six we've got. Just before we get on with that, Mr. Crouch, he says with the under-18 semi-final Thursday, it isn't going to happen this week. Yeah, that's what I think, mate.
I'll be going to that one.
Huh?
I'll be going to that.
Yeah, I'm 6-2. I think I'm try and sneak into that one, but if not, then yeah, good luck with that. I hope they do well there. I think it's on YouTube anyway. I think.
Yeah, it probably will be, but
yeah, so I'll be definitely. If I'm not going,
nice
I'll definitely watch.
I don't normally do it. I don't normally go to under 18s, under 21s. So it'll be a nice change for me.
No, it'll be good, mate. Right, so obviously, Hull City on Tuesday. I mean, some tricky games here. I mean, we got like the following Saturday, West Brom away, Burnley at home, Pompey, and the last away game, Ewood Park against former head coach Valérien Ismaël as well. And then we're at home to Sheffield Wednesday. How many points do you reckon get in those 6?
Well, I'm going to West Brom, so I'm going to say 3 just purely for my own sanity. Burnley, I'm going to say that's going to be a loss. Do you mind getting the rest of them?
Yeah, go on, mate. There you
go. Portsmouth, I'm going to say a draw. Blackburn have been just as rancid as we have, so I'm going to say a win there. And Sheffield Wednesday, I still have nightmares of that game in our promotion season, like 10, 11 years ago now. Because I think we played Sheffield Wednesday at home when we drew 1-1 and we didn't go up as champions. So I'm going to say a draw there, just because of that very unhappy memory.
Yeah, I think we'll beat Sheffield Wednesday. Not say, we'll beat them like easier thing. I'm just thinking out the wins. I think Sheffield Wednesday. I think we'll beat Hull. I do think we'll get a draw against Burnley. It's going to be hard. 7 points at home, 1 point away. Tops 8 points.
Yeah,
I think.
Again, I think I wouldn't disagree with that. We're a mid-table side.
Yeah,
we're finishing roughly where we should be. I don't think we've particularly underperformed where, in fact, you could probably say compared to our expectations at the beginning of the season, we've actually overperformed.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are saying we'd be in a relegation battle for a lot of this. And we haven't looked at any point like we'd be in a relegation battle. And that's a huge credit to Cleverley for all his faults we've talked about and our squad's issues. He's done well to get us where we are now, despite his shortcomings recently. And that has to be kept in perspective.
Exactly, mate. Obviously, we're back tomorrow night, TMA Sunday Night Live, so we'll get all your opinions through and topics, and we'll discuss them as well. Probably a lot of talker points are linked to today anyway, but obviously we'll throw that out there. Give us your opinions. Right, okay. Also, massive shout out to the women this Sunday. Massive game at Grosvenor Vale, 2 p.m. kickoff, FA Women's National League. Top of the table, Ipswich coming to play the Golden Girls. So that's 2 p.m. tomorrow. If you've got tickets, should be a cracking day out there. And they're back at the Vic soon as well. So we'll obviously throw more details out about that. So that's coming up very, very soon. But tomorrow, massive game against Ipswich at home, 2 p.m. kickoff for the Golden Girls. So yeah, good luck to them. Obviously, stick onto the Watford Women's Supporters Group, but we will be posting up as much info as we can on that game as well. And we'll obviously get Moudinho giving his expert in-depth analysis on that game tomorrow night. Halsey saying Duncan is right. Absolutely. So Duncan is right. We are not looking over our shoulders at the relegation battle. I think that's the worst thing you could do anyway, even if you were in that battle. I mean, it wound me up big time when we were in the Premier League, but the last time and the time before, you got to stop looking over your shoulder and deal with what you're doing yourselves. Even with the playoffs, we shouldn't be looking around what's going on with other teams. You look after, just deal with what you need to do, and that's win a game. Everything else, if you're in the driving seat, if you keep winning, someone's going to lose. So look after yourselves first.
Yeah, if you look after yourself, everything else will fall into place. It's the same idea as if maybe not exactly the same, but if you count the pennies of pounds of handle itself kind of thing, isn't it? I suppose. I think I've got that right around. But yeah, it's that same principle of as long as you're doing your own things right, ultimately things will fall into place as time goes on. It's when you're not doing the right things, you're not seeing the hard work, you're not seeing the right shots going off, and you can tell when it's not right, and you can tell when it is, and it should over time balance itself off.
Exactly, mate. Right, like I said, tomorrow night we'll see you 8 p.m. Apologies, anyone who's expecting it on the forum is mucking about for some reason. I'll try and ratify that for tomorrow night. But yeah, thank you everyone who's watched today. Absolutely brilliant. You're all legends. We'll see you tomorrow night 8 p.m. Get all your topics through. I'll post that up in the morning. So yeah, thank you very much. Massive shout out to Dunk. Cheers, mate. Cheers, mate. Once again. Cheers, mate. Right, and also a massive shout out once again to Lee Cusack, who sadly passed away last week. Shout out to Caroline and the children. Like I said before, I was very honoured and privileged, like many people, to have seen him in person, chatted to him online. Always good comedy when he was posted on the forum as well and on the podcast. So massive shout out to you, Lee. Just sleep well, fella. Rest in peace. And like I say, massive condolences, sincere condolences to his missus and the children and the rest of the family on sad situation there. So yeah, I hope he gets a good send off. Right, okay, Dunk. Anything else, mate, before we shoot off?
Nothing to add my end. That was just a very nice little eulogy there. So nothing else to add on that.
Cool, mate. Right. See you tomorrow.